Hello everyone, JayaShri, welcoming everyone with love, kindness, respect to our third enlightening session. So thank you for tuning in. I believe you see and hear me clearly. I'm using a different, okay, right, wonderful. Thank you, Gong. So it's nice to connect with all of you. It's a very bright, sunny day here in Colombo, and it's 4 p.m. now. After quite a number of days, it's a bright, sunny day. It's a good thing, isn't it? A very, very bright, sunny day. Totally different to what we experienced last couple of, maybe 2 weeks. There were heavy rains. It's really nice today. So wonderful. Thank you for tuning in. And once again, I welcome all of you with love, kindness, and respect. These sessions give some meaning to my life as well. Human interactions are so powerful, isn't it? Human interactions gives meaning to life, and without those interactions there's really no meaning. Actually, we first find connection and interaction with ourselves, and we learn to interact with others, and we create some meaning. But left alone, is there any meaning to life? Like, is there any meaning behind all this? There's really no meaning other than what we make up in our mind. So there had been few of you who connected with me during last weeks and in different ways, and have asked questions specifically about how to lose weight. So there were a few questions about how to lose weight in a safe and healthy manner, and I personally have been guiding some of you as to how to comfortably lose weight in a safe and healthy manner. And many of you have been connecting with me directly and indirectly, asking questions about mental health, like how to let go of the extra weight in the mind. So I will be addressing all of that today. Okay? So let us take a minute. Today I feel the energy is different. And it is a sudden shift from yesterday. The kind of energy I'm experiencing today is really different, that I cannot put my finger into it, as in it's new. It's new to a level that I personally feel some aspects of, let's say, the mind content, what we call the mind content of a person, we call as, let's say, personality. side when we refer to the word personality. It is essentially the mind content, an external reflection of mind content of a person. So during a lifetime, we go through different life experiences, and there's always a personality change, a shift in the personality, persona. It has to be. There are general temperaments that last like for lifetime. But I think a really healthy living being, living organism has to go through a profound change in a way that they die to certain aspects or to that old personality totally. I think this is my understanding and belief. A healthy living being, as in a human being, should go through a complete personality shift during a lifetime. Otherwise, that's not healthy, I think, in a way. That is stagnation. Because we develop our personality since early age. We absorb things from our parents and social conditioning. And we essentially end up becoming very much like them in a different physical form, in a different body. So imagine a person is continuing the whole life without having a so-called second birth. During one lifetime, without really dying to that old personas and shadows borrowed from parents and that had been handed over through generations. If someone is not having that shift, I think it can be extremely unhealthy to that person and to the whole of existence. That is stagnation. But the interesting thing about this shift, change in the content of the mind makes a personality shift. This relatively stable patterns of thinking and behaving changes. Relatively stable, that is how it is defined in books of psychology. Relatively stable patterns of thinking and behaviors, they change. So that means the programming, right, all the conditioning are changing. Means the content of the mind is changing. The way this person experience life, perceive and respond to life begin to continuously, dramatically change. So if it doesn't happen, it is like stagnating water. And what I was going to tell you is that this process, however, for many of us is difficult. It is difficult. It is painful. It is painful. It's really scary as well at sometimes. Some point in your life, if you are going through a massive transformation, you can feel that is quite frightening. Do you know why it is frightening? That is because we don't know. We don't know what's coming up. We don't know what tomorrow holds, kind of a thing. So for your brain, that unconditioning, unlearning process can be something that is fearful. That is the very reason why people hold on to those old patterns. Because it is difficult for you to have a clear idea about who you are becoming. It's not gonna be clear. But all this while it was fairly clear. I am so and so's daughter, I'm so and so's son, I'm so and so's wife, husband, the religious identity, the cultural identity, the gender identity. All those things begin to get challenged after a particular point of time. Really challenged in a way that we cannot really fathom as to what's happening. And that's frightening. So usually out of fear, what do we do? Generally, when people are afraid or fearful, what is the natural thing to do? Right? Let's say someone is drowning in a river. What's the natural response? You try to hold on to something, right? You somehow try to hold on to something, isn't it? Yeah, so when we can, in our so-called normal living life, where there is really no physical threat, we are not drowning, but we are drowning in a way in the river of life. Okay? So what happens is that we hold on to old thought processes. Parana purudu hitana රටාවලට ඒවා අල්ලගන්න උත්සාහ කරනවා. අල්ලගෙන ඉන්න හදනවා. Right? So when that happens, right, when you are not letting go, what is new is not coming to your life. What is new is essentially a new energy. And energy requires space, isn't it? Yeah? Energy requires space. Space where? This new energy requires new space in your field or in the thing called who you are. So if you do not let go of the old patterns, consciously, deliberately, they will continuously create poisonous, toxic energy in you, in whoever that you think you are. Let's say you consider you are the physical body. That's what, let's say that is your identity. Like when you think about yourself, the first idea idea that comes to your mind about who you think you are is, if it is the body, this physical form, let's say you are fully identified with it, those stagnant neurological processes, it's not a process, stagnant neurology, so to say, right, creates toxicity in your body. So So we call them hormonal imbalances. Do you get this? Can you make sense? Do you see the point? Can you understand? So out of fear, when you hold on to those thought processes, because in life, in the river of life, the only thing that you can hold on to is what? Sometimes people, other people, right? We get hooked on to other people. Sometimes physically, but even to do it physically, we have to do it mentally. Let's say you are very much attached to someone, and if you look at that attachment, it's actually in your head as thoughts and feelings and emotions. So now imagine out of fear, like it's all fear based and you're holding on to it. Circulation of this energy in your mind, body, spirit, so to say, right? The no body self. The no body self. That's a word, right? No body. Yeah. There's a reason why that word is there. That's no body, because we are not body as well. Who we are is not just the body, but the real sense of self is no body. But how can no body exist without body? So therefore you have a body. No body cannot exist without some body. So this is the some body. So what happens when you, out of fear, hold on to the old identity, old personality? Old personality means the content of your mind. That energy gets stagnant. Biopsychologically, if you are to give this a little bit of a scientific explanation, in your brain, these dendrites, let's say there are neurons, the cells in the brain, and they are having tiny extensions, very, they're very, very soft, very small, extremely thin, right? Of course, you will not see it physically, right? You can only see it through some special instruments. Maybe doctors do see them in their research. The only closest explanation we can refer and understand from nature is, in a tree you have roots, and there are tiny, the main root and then subroots and then tiny ones extending underneath the soil. So similarly in our brain, these neurons have these dendrites, and thin, it is extending continuously, it's growing like a tree. In a previous episode I've explained, trees are growing and absorbing nutrition from Mother Earth through the roots, and that's how they evolve, that they grow and evolve to their highest potential, and human beings grow from here. We don't actually grow from our body as a limit to our extension of our physical body, right? Like to the extent we have been eating food, the amount of metric tons of food we have consumed during a lifetime, then we should have been really huge, isn't it? Like huge, like all the human beings on earth would have been metric tons of large beings. It's not happening that way. There seems to be we grow to a certain extent and seems to sort of get settled at a particular point. But growing from here has no limit for human consciousness. That's the beauty. That's why we actually come to human earth. Do you know that? This is why we choose human life. So recently this interesting thought occurred to me. That is, this is how I felt actually about my life. Quite often I feel like an alien on earth. That's something new about human life, even though I have very minimal human interactions, very limited human interactions, except quite a lot that happens in online forums. So this interesting thought occurred to me that it seems to me that, why can't we consider our life on earth as a vacation? Really, you go on vacations, you go on trips, right? To see things, to eat things, to do things, to smell, taste, and see, and hear, and feel, and know things, isn't it? So, what would happen if one considered their human existence as a vacation? That would be very interesting, right? From morning to evening, your life will change. Give it a thought. This occurred to my mind, And then I was reflecting years back. I remember telling myself and openly declaring and sharing with others that I wanted to retire as early as age 32. And I certainly did. People laughed at me. I remember in this corporate forums, the senior bankers typically believe that they have to work really hard till age 60, earn some money and then retire, and that's life. They laughed. I remember people laughing behind me. Some who are very honest and kind, directly opening up and asking how that is possible. And then suddenly I ended up living life on my terms as early as age 34. So anyway, that's on a side note. Our discussion started with my observation and this sudden shift of energy that happened yesterday. Overnight, I noticed this massive shift. And I mentioned to you, in your life also, you will notice these shifts. And usually these shifts or changes require death. I think that was the hard part. Something inside of me did not make, I would have said that word much earlier, but I didn't say it. But now I'm saying it out loud. Every time when you want something new in your life, you have to die. You have to be really willing to die to your old sense of self. Mentally, physically, emotionally, and certainly the transformation is at the spirit level or spiritual. But it becomes very visible in your physical body, in your thought processes, and the way you feel. And expansion is at the spiritual level, at the spirit level, or the no body level. The expansion is at the consciousness level, and it kind of cascades down. I believe, and this is what I know, the first transformation happens at the no body level, as in your energetic self. And that is collective, as in you and I, we all collectively in one sukh, so to say, one consciousness, and we have our unique individualized or personalized experience because we have different brains. In Buddhist scriptures, this is very beautifully explained. It's called Vastu Prasada. This brain is called Vastu Prasada. This is a prasada. This is a kind of it's a gift, right, from life, thing called life. It's it's so unique for all of us. So because we are wired so differently, we experience life so differently. So in Buddhist scriptures, the brain is referred as Vastu Prasada, as eyes are Chakku Prasada. Likewise, these are prasadas, all six senses are prasadas, or essentially the gifts or blessings of existence, and brain is called as Vastu, right? So we are differently wired, although it's one same pool of consciousness. We are experiencing it differently. Now, I was referring to the concept of massive shifts in life makes you go through personality transformation. Although personality is defined as relatively stable patterns of thinking and behaviors, we never say permanent. Okay? Of course, there's nothing permanent in this life. So, it's a very decent definition. Nothing is permanent. So, personality is also the same. What I was trying to get at to you is that if you are experiencing this shift in consciousness, if you are waiting to embrace something new in your life, you have to really be ready to and not afraid to die to those old personality traits. We hold on to them because we are fearful. I mentioned to you, if someone is drowning in a river, they hold on to something, whatever is around, right? If there's a crocodile, one might even try to get on to the crocodile and fight and somehow, use the crocodile, the very threatening object, to somehow save life. So fear is very powerful. Fear gives us a lot of energy. But the problem in our life, where there are no crocodiles, this is a river of life, but day in and out, we have so much going on here, and we hallucinate and imagine extremely fearful things in our head, right? We manifest, we project a lot of fear, and certainly mass media, like all media, helps us feed more into our fears, right? So out of fear, we hold on to old patterns, and then that energy starts circulating in your body. We call them hormonal imbalances, and when you come to this place called hormonal imbalances, you are going to accumulate weight, extra body weight, and you will find that even after dieting, fasting, exercising, you are not losing weight. Anyone here have experienced that before? I'm sure if you have not experienced, you would have heard about other people going through similar things. Or you have lost some weight, right? You put on in no time the lost weight because you get back to the old eating habits. So what are old eating habits? They are based on your personality type. Your relatively stable patterns of thinking and behaving, because you give meaning to life in a particular way. So if you are not losing weight, or you cannot keep the weight, like lost weight in that, your ideal weight in a healthy level continuously for some time, that means there is no identity shift in your life. It requires an identity shift. So I was talking about dendrites, right? The neurons and the tiny extensions of the brain cells. Just like in a tree, there are roots, right? And spreading across the soil. The purpose of those roots is to absorb nutrition to the tree. So in your brain also, when you embrace something new, hear me out very clearly. When you embrace something new, you are creating new neurological pathways in your brain. New neurological pathways in your brain. So what's the point? Why are we so concerned about it, or why am I talking about it? Why do we emphasize the importance of having new neurological pathways? Without having new neurological pathways, you fundamentally cannot think something new and feel something new and act in a brand new way. This is what happens when this thing called growth hormone in your body starts really, working well for you. There are quite a number of studies at present supporting the importance of doing certain things as lifestyle changes and eating pattern changes, etc., to help the growth hormone grow. Right? If we don't keep the brain healthy, irrigated, just like we irrigate a tree, right? I mean, we give the nutrition, water, provide the fertilizer, etc., like facilitate a tree to grow. If we don't do that to our brain, we are dying day in and out. Some people live life like dead anyway. They live life like dead. That's nothing new. The old patterns keep repeating, and there's nothing new. So what can we do? What can we do? What am I suggesting you to do on a daily basis to let go of all personality types, right? Really die to those aspects of yourself which are no longer serving you. When you die to something, you can be very happy because you are being born again to something new, right? When you let go of something, there's always space for something new. And new is new. This is what many people don't understand, and they are afraid of what is unknown, right? This is why people don't change, if at all. People want to change. People keep saying, I want to change, I want to change, I want to change. But they don't change is because the unknown is unknown. And that's fearful for the old personality. But when you begin to feel comfortable about not knowing, that's a new consciousness. You're comfortable of not knowing what's coming tomorrow. That's really a good level of awareness to operate at. Day in and day out, actually. I would say day in and day out, it's a good place to operate in life. Like, very comfortable in not knowing what's coming up tomorrow. That's called unconditionally living. And in that place, of course, there's no question about happy and healthy, being happy and healthy. Really. Because why we are not happy and healthy, most of us, right, is because we project our past to future mentally. Okay? So yesterday, like let's say yesterday, you projected your mental constructs, the things that you thought you wanted in life, etc., to today. You projected it from yesterday to today. So today's level of satisfaction is dependent on not what is given today, not what life has made available to you today, but it is totally dependent on what you projected from yesterday. Yes or no? So what you call as now is not now, but the mental construct you carried from yesterday to today. So your today is actually full of yesterday. So being happy, healthy? Question mark. You want to be happy, you want to be healthy, but there's a struggle. Where is the struggle? Internally. Alright, now it's the time to talk about these important tips, techniques, approaches, lifestyle changes that can help you to shake, right? Really shake the energy, mentally, physically, emotionally, and then help you get aligned with your spiritual energy or higher self. We've used that word in previous sessions. So mentally, physically, emotionally, we got to do few things. The physical level is interesting, right? Physical level of consciousness is very interesting. Why? The bloody thing requires activity, right? This is the problem of the physical level of consciousness. It's all about doing, right? You got to do something with it, right? Now, from the highest spiritual advice, if at all I have ever given anyone, I give to myself. And if someone asks me, I would still give in the future, is that you really have nothing to do. If at all, what you have to do to be happy and healthy is to do nothing. But to our mind, right, this conditioned mind, to our brain, this is nearly impossible to perceive that idea. Like, what do you mean by not doing? Life is all about doing something. If not physically, at least mentally. Right? That's why even in sleep we are not like, there's only so much of deep sleep we get where we are nothing basically, but the rest of the sleep is essentially full of dreams. Even at the subconscious level we are doing something. So the highest spiritual advice is not to do a thing, because you really technically have nothing to do. Like in the moment of death, what shall we do? I faced moment of deaths many times, and I thought I'm not gonna come back. But I came back, as in I lived in this body, but continuously dying to that old ideas about who I think I was. Right. So I was counting, waiting one time until I died. Like really, I was so embracing and welcoming death to a level, it didn't occur to me. It didn't happen. I really, even as a little child, I have experimented with some serious yoga and energetic experiments all by myself, just by reading from a book, got so fascinated. And I have experimented with the experience of death and I didn't die. Right? So let's get back to the discussion as to why we are not at the optimal health and well-being is because we hold on to old patterns. When I say old patterns, biologically and neurologically, the wiring, the physical wiring, physical neurological structure is limiting our experience in this body. That's why it feels difficult, uncomfortable. So when you put on few kilos, extra kilos, people generally feel uncomfortable, right? People do feel uncomfortable, and then they become comfortable being uncomfortable. Means they come to this consciousness that they are okay to be in that kind of body. They are too afraid to challenge it and break boundaries and create something brand new out of it. So let me sort of put all these grand abstract concepts and ideas together and sort of summarize it for you so that you can digest it here easily. I personally experienced a energy shift yesterday, and even environmentally we can experience it today. So whatever physically we are experiencing in our environment as a shift represents something within us as well. If we are sensitive enough, we can dissect it and understand what's going on in our awareness. When we become aware, it's very important we are ready to die to the old ideas about ourselves, meaning the content of the mind will change dramatically, and that essentially will bring about a personality change. Other people will experience this change in you, especially those so-called loved ones and close associates. They will notice your transformation. Some will like it, and some will really embrace and endorse and celebrate and affirm it, and might even kind of get along with you. Like usually what happens is when we change, others get along with us in that change process, because we are all one, finally one unified consciousness, although we are living separately and having individual worlds in our head, projecting it to the so-called reality. We have projected ideas about reality. It's not reality we are experiencing, right? So in that change process, there's always an element of fear. So don't be afraid of fear. Fear is part of the game. Fear is there for existential reasons, because fear gives energy. Problem of fearful energy is that it creates toxicity, and fear is there because you don't know the unknown. Fear comes because you want to get stuck, or you want to live in what is comfortable, or what is known. When you let go of the comfort factor, really, you just let go of that need to feel comfortable, you are embracing the unknown, and fear will dissolve. How to deal with fear is that all these things anyway, right, requires you to use your body differently, requires you to use your daily sort of life force energy differently. This requires you to use your thinking and basically the brain differently, right? Emotions differently. Starting place, however, is the physical body. That's the irony of this whole thing. Let's say meditation. Okay, let's say you want to feel enlightened, connect with energy, know how to heal, know how to sort of bring balance and harmony, etc. Some of you are getting guidance from me personally as well. So meditation. So even meditation, there is a technique, and you got to use your body, you got to use your mind, and you got to do it. Right. Something. We have to do something anyway. Even to realize that we don't have to do, we actually have nothing to do. we have to first do a lot, because that is what we are programmed naturally. Even non-doing is a doing. Let's say mindfulness. Now mindfulness is not something you do, but we train, we teach, we go to sessions, we go to forums to learn mindfulness. But mindfulness is our natural way of being. We are mindful. It's a natural way of being. Okay? Right. So, I believe I communicated something important, right? Because there's so much going on even in my energy field, I can feel, and I can articulate only so much unless you ask specific questions. Sometimes it's not easy to channel all this massive force of energy coming through me and translate it into a language and then communicate to you online. It's difficult, but I will try my best. Now, so let's get to the things that you can do daily basis to bring about that happy, healthy energy. Now, I realized something very profound. It is something I've known for a while. I've known this, not that I've never known this, but today I realized something really profound. I realized it. I've known it, but today it's a huge realization. Mainly because I do practice a new physical movement exercise or physical movement practice daily basis. It's called Qigong. I believe many of you have heard about that. It's a Chinese practice that is coming, I think, more than 4,000. Kamushri, can you please close the door? I think so. It's coming from like 4,000 years, right? Around 4,000 years, yeah. So this is a Chinese practice, and I have been practicing this, and it's the first time I'm practicing Qigong. I am a quite active person. I have a very active lifestyle, and intention of this Qigong practice and how it is designed is it's slow. It's very different to the Western approach to physical exercises. It's slow and it is steady, because this belief behind Qigong essentially is that move slowly in life is to move in grace, and to move slowly is to live in your power. Slow is power. That is what the belief in Qigong practice is all about. When you intentionally move your body slowly, you are graceful, and at the same time you are really powerful. So I was practicing this last week or so specifically, and what I noticed today is physical movement, like intentional physical movements, trigger old neurology, all wounds, so to say, and especially something like Qigong, where it is all about connecting with the innermost life force energy that makes everything happen, right? Qi is that. Qi is that. Qi is life force energy. Those who have learned Reiki can relate to this word, right? Reiki, right? Reiki, Qi is the same, like life force energy. And these body movements were very new to me, most of it, but I could do them very comfortably as well. I realized that when you do these intentional movements, old, unhealed or unresolved energetic wounds begin to surface in a way that we cannot even fathom. So if you are going through in your life this physical, mental or emotional healing, transformation, right? Let's say you are going through something like that in your life at present. I want you to know it's going to be uncomfortable. Okay? It's going to be uncomfortable. Sometimes unbearably uncomfortable. Because with these new body movements, right? Let's say, forget about Qigong. I mean, I refer to it because I had a personal experience and a profound realization today. But let's say someone going to the gym and usually the person does workouts for around 1 hour. Now this person is going to do for 1.5 hours. In terms of weight training, this person is going to double the weight. It's going to be uncomfortable, right? It's definitely going to be uncomfortable. So the person might not even feel like showing up next day in the gym and feel like giving it up, and all doubts will come up, and might even that fear might even make this person faced with an injury, right? We hear about people getting into exercise routines and meeting with injuries, right? And then that injury, what does it do? It stops and prevents this person accelerating or expanding on the same path, right? It stops this person achieving the results intended because injury slows the person down. Yeah? So it's interesting, right? So is it the injury or is it the fear? It's the fear actually. Right? Then you can be the old version of yourself. So I noticed today, when you introduce new body movements, intentional body movements, intentional. Of course you are working, like let's say you are working in the house, in the garden, you are going to work, you have to walk. They are not intentional because we are most of the time unconscious. But if you are doing intentional body movements, it is bound to bring about aspects of yourself energetically, right, packed as an energetic blockage, and sort of kept somewhere, right, kept somewhere, not handled. Not handled, why? The conscious logical thinking mind believes that I don't have the capacity to handle. So what does it do? It just keeps it aside. So when it is time to release them, they come to the surface. But they don't come to the surface until you do something about it. Do you get this? Until you do something about it, they don't come to the surface. They are just kept at the subconscious level and usually manifest as extra fat, like extra weight in a person's body, different dysfunctions in certain organs in the body, internal organs, or even the skin, the biggest organ, right? Different symptoms, physical symptoms. It is lying there as a symptom. But until you do something intentionally, physically, mentally, or in terms of your diet, right? Emotionally, unless you do something, it won't come out. So I experienced something like that, and it's pure magic. I feel that it is pure magic. So the rain has stopped. There's a very bright sunny day, and a lot of big mosquitoes had come out. And that's why I'm doing this quite often. Sorry about that. Right? There are 1 or 2 mosquitoes hovering around, needing some food, their sustenance. So let me now let's recap together, right, in this journey. So if you are noticing some physical discomforts in your body, right, certain organs are dysfunctional, they are not functioning to the optimal level, you are aware. If something like that is happening, my first suggestion is that you got to do something about yourself, either physically, mentally, emotionally, or energetically. Like, I know some of you who's online right now with me, some of you like in person, right? You have tried very known diet programs, you have followed some really recognized or famous diet programs, you have done exercises, right? Basically that's what people do, right? Also you would have been on medication, some of you would have been on medication, maybe Western medicine or Ayurvedic, right? But with all that, the symptoms are not disappearing. Body weight, you are not, seems to be losing that extra weight, right? It seems to be, even if you lose some weight, let's say you lose some weight just by fasting or continuously not eating some carbs or whatever, let's say you achieve something like that, but if you gain that weight again, you got to take a step towards bringing about a change in one of those variables, as I mentioned to you: physical, mental, emotional, or energetic. Now, a person who has gone on a diet, right, very careful about what they are eating, very mindful. Mindful is different, careful is different. There are people who are extremely careful about what they are eating, but they are not mindful. I personally prefer eating mindfully, whatever. And that's what I do also. When I want to eat something, whatever it is, I eat mindfully, and my body is at peace. I am at peace because my body is at ease because I am at peace with it. But people who are eating carefully, they have fear. So we discussed it earlier. Out of fear, we hold on to things. So you're not going to lose that extra fat. You're not going to lose and release that toxic hormonal imbalance. You're not going to release it. Your organs will not be supportive. The biggest organ, of course, is your brain, right? Because you're having fear. So I advocate a mindful eating approach. Whatever, right? Say one of these days, you suddenly feel like eating a lot. Really, you can. You have the appetite, you have the desire, you have the feeling, and fortunately you are gifted and you're a blessed soul. You have food available. You have money, you have food available, and let's say you can consume. I think you must eat mindfully all that, whatever the amount you have, it's available to you very mindfully and truly enjoy it. And another day, you may not feel like eating a thing. Like today, I have hardly eaten anything. Now it's 4 p.m. Anyway, I'm usually going for a 16-hour fast every day. So essentially, I have mostly a lunch between 11 to 12 p.m. and then some dinner. And weekly, we do a 24-hour fasting. Again, do I force it? See, this is what I mentioned to you earlier. Right? Do I force it on a particular day? I have a schedule and I'm going to do fast. You can't do like that. Your brain, life does not work that way. You are life. You are not just a body and a mechanism and a system that can be fixed and plugged and played like that. I just experienced a massive energy shift from yesterday night to today, and I myself am trying to figure a few things out about this new shift. That's massive, right? So there is always an unknown variable in our life. So even if you plan like that, right, you can't force yourself. It should happen so naturally, very, very naturally. It should be a flow. Otherwise, you fall into that other category I mentioned to you. Like you are careful about what you're eating, you have a schedule, you plan for something and you want to fix into it. Now imagine you can't go according to your plan. Then we go to that self-destructive thought processes of feeling bad about ourselves, feeling guilty, right? Condemning ourselves, looking down upon us, like, oh, see, I'm a failure again. All the stuff we heard from our childhood, from our parents and teachers and other people, and they confirm saying that we are a failure, and we keep telling ourselves, yeah, I'm a failure. That's the problem of having a strict plan and just being careful and living life out of fear. I'm not advocating that. That kind of discipline is, I don't know how far it's going to work for a normal, healthy human being. Discipline should come naturally, like a schedule and organized pattern of way of being should come naturally. Initially, yes, you have to do some training. It might take an effort. Okay? So, let's now slowly progress to the next level of our discussion and talk about some specifics as well. So, I mentioned to you, if you're having some physical symptoms in your body which is making you feel uncomfortable, okay, and because you have gone to a doctor, medical practitioner, and you are also aware that certain organs are not functioning to their best, of course you feel it in your body, you have those extra pounds to shed and let go. We start mentally, we have to change variables mentally, physically, emotionally and energetically. And I mentioned to you, for some of you, I know some of you even in person, you have done things physically like exercising and then diet, right? But you haven't done much mentally or emotionally. So that means if you have done the exercises, if you are really active, you are doing enough of work, you are even taking medications to deal with that symptom, and you are careful or mindful about what you are eating, right? You are limiting the intake of unhealthy food, so to say, and you are taking mostly healthy food. If you have done all of that, and if you are not getting healthy, we have to do something, isn't it? Because if in an unhealthy body, we can't necessarily be happy, because I mentioned to you in previous sessions, happiness is essentially like an aroma, a scent. It's a chemistry. Chemistry means hormones. So your body actually have to be healthy in order for you to feel healthy, feel happy, right? also when you are getting mentally, like just mentally, I mean cognitively, right? Just like I did 14 years ago when I was going through depression. I did physical exercises, but it helped me somewhat to deal with extra energy, because depression also, the other side of depression is that you have extra cortisol, means stress hormone is created in your body, and the anger hormone, right, adrenaline, meaning you have a lot of extra energy, but not used purposefully or meaningfully. Then people go into psychological depression, right? It's psychological, it's physical, it's spiritual as well, like energetic as well. That's a different discussion. We'll take it up on a different day. But for today's discussion, right? So I did physical exercises. I signed up to a gym, and I remember within a 3 months time period, I'm usually working towards my targets. That's my nature, and I achieve my targets. So even during 3 months time period, those days I was close to 80 kilos, right? Now I'm only around 56. That is the ideal weight I should have been. That is weight I have been when I was 25. But then all this psychological stress and the drama that I was creating in my life made me to become a very sick and heavy woman, right? So by working out in the gym, really day in and day out, I lost more than 20 kilos within 3 months, right? So then I know, okay, yeah, after doing physical exercises, now I know I can lose my weight. But was I becoming healthier? Yes, I was. Happier? Yeah, somewhat. But what really fixed my life, like fixed the problem, was NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. That is what fixed means. It was all about me spending day in and day out, not in the gym, but gym here, like using NLP processes to heal my thought processes, beliefs, memories from childhood, trauma, right? I mean, traumas that I thought I was a happy, healthy child, but apparently I have had enough of childhood traumas. So the step was mental, right? It was a mental initiation. I had to do something mentally. That's why usually people, right, really successful people, they have coaches, right? Like I know this number one wealth coach, so to say, let's say in the world, at least that is how he brand himself. Like he has around 10 coaches. One coach decides what color of tie he has to wear on a particular day. Fair enough. So this person doesn't need to think about anything. Everyone gives the success formula, and he executes it, right? So may I suggest to you, right, if you have been struggling doing so much of diet work and physical exercises, and if still you are not losing that extra weight, and if still you are having those physical imbalances or symptoms or sicknesses and problems with your body, you have to initiate something energetically or mentally. Energetically or mentally. Now, why do I say energetically or mentally? Some of us, now I go back to our discussion, the beginning of our discussion. I brought today that word, personality, relatively stable patterns of thinking and behaviors, the conditioning we have borrowed from our parents and through social conditioning, right? So some of us are very highly active here. Too much of energy created here, heated up, like the brain is heated up in a given day, the organ, and that is extremely unhealthy. Right? Your heart needs certain exercise. Even I told you I'm practicing this as Qigong. The first thing is like a very nice, simple body movement where we are tapping the body as if it's called as opening the door of life, hitting the chi belt around the stomach lining, right, stomach region, and activating the adrenaline gland, tapping it in a way, right, that activates this energy reservoir in our body. So some of us, right, like most of our body requires activity and movement. Like let's say your legs, they definitely, you have to use your legs and arms and limbs. If you don't use your muscles, they're gonna deteriorate, right? You know that. But brain, if it is overworked, like what happened to me many years ago, right? If it is overworked, that is going crazy, right? Like, it seems to be so normal outside, fairly healthy, right? But here, too much of movement. Only through thinking. So if you are very high as a person like that, like let's say you find it difficult to fall asleep at night, you find it difficult to just shut off the thoughts that is no longer needed and on it when needed. If you are someone like that, you need to change the mental variable. So a good coach can help you, psychological coach or an NLP coach. Your approach should be to really get this thing organized. So my story, like to date, if someone asks me, what should I do, JayaShri, what should I do, Jamini, about my life, like simple, the only two things that I know that I can easily recommend is NLP or Reiki. One thing to the brain, one thing to the energy, heart, and the rest of the thing, like life force energy, right? So there are other type of personalities. Some of us are like that, too much into our logical thinking, analysis, paralysis by analysis. Some of us are like that. I was someone like that those days, right? I was living in here. I did not know how to live life. Now only I know how to live life, right? Life was happening to me, and because we all have a unique brain, right? And my brain was also designed for a particular purpose. God knows who. Let me repeat it. God knows who. It was designed for a purpose. Maybe I did it intentionally, right? I'm realizing every day for what purpose I have designed this kind of brain. I had to do something with my brain. But some of you are very different. I have someone online right now connecting with me, someone like that, a personality like that. They are, see, overthinking is not intelligence, okay? I did not ever mention that I was intelligent in any way. I would have been intelligent in doing certain subjects, yes. But overthinking is not equivalent to intelligent, or being too in your head is nothing to do with being intelligent about life. It's just that you have a brain that dissects a lot of stuff and process so many things. And you are living inside your brain. You are not living in life, flowing in life. It's different. But there is another category of people who are very much heart-centered. Yes, there are. Now, already, I'm very grateful now. She's once again online and connecting. Earlier, also she was online with us. Now she reconnected. So there are people who are like, they have an open heart, so to say. They are working with trust model. People here, they can't even understand the idea of what it means trust. Not just the people in close to just the closest associates in life, right? Strangers or outsiders, a teacher, a coach. They don't know. Hear about the external people or outsiders. even the own people in their life, they don't know how to trust. So people who are very high here, too stagnant and strongly anchored in cognitive processes and thinking patterns, thinking personalities, their hearts are not very open. It's a problem. They understand it later on. I mean, I understood it later on. Okay? So some personalities who are having an open heart, we recommend them, okay, do you want to bring about a healing in your life? Do a change in your energy. Change the energy variable. That is where around 14 years ago again I learned Reiki. Reiki is a Japanese art of, it's a science as well, now that I am well conversed with the subject. But it's mostly an art of dealing with cosmic or universal life force energy, the energy that creates who we are. So we are tapping into the source essentially, right? So for people with an open heart, who are working in life using a trust model or faith model, usually people from backgrounds like religious backgrounds, like coming from, like, let's say, not necessarily Sri Lanka. I honestly don't know what to call about people of our country. I am sorry, with all love and respect I'm saying this. Maybe I came to this country because this is the most interesting place I could use as a platform to experience life. I really don't know thing about this country, the DNA of these people and how it operates. I'm still learning. I'm really new here, but when I travel overseas, I feel home. I feel very home. Maybe my mission. Now maybe I know some of it. I'm not opening up here now. I know my mission is here. It's hard. Anyway, people who come for big missions, they don't come for easy tasks, right? So I was talking about this faith model, people with faith models and with an open heart and trust model. They can easily trust, right? You present something, they are willing and open. They're usually people coming from India. No, I mean, I have lots of friends from India. I in fact feel home in India. Many people in India had made me feel at home. I really feel my family is there, right? Real family. And also Hindu background, let's say that kind of background, people with that kind of background, or people who are truly believing in God, like truly believing in God, idea of God. Why do I say truly believing in God? Because most people who believe in God do not really believe in God. They only have ideas about God. But people who truly believe in God work on faith, trust, right? I meet that kind of people in Sri Lanka, a particular religious group. Usually it's a big debate here about that ethnic group, but my experience with them is that they are wonderful. They're really good people. That faith model is something to explore. It's beautiful. We had extreme condemnation about that faith model, but when you open your heart and mind, you can see it's a good model to operate in life too. So anyway, let me recap, right? So if you are struggling with extra body weight and certain physical symptoms, please note that they are stagnant life force energy. Stagnant in thought processes, stagnant energy in your thought processes. And then your brain is physically affected. your brain is not operating at its optimal as a machine or as an organ. Okay? So when your brain is not optimally operating, rest of the system, it's going to get into that imbalance. The heart, the lungs, the liver, the kidneys, the pancreas, the stomach, the womb, the reproductive system, the whole process essentially is going to get blocked, dysfunctional. Okay? This discussion we take up even in NLP. In our typical NLP practitioner class, we have a process called communicating with symptoms. And I have healed physically sick people, including cancer patients, using NLP approach. Of course, combined with Reiki. Okay? So I know what I'm talking, really. So, we know that there is a stagnant energy, mentally, physically, emotionally, and calling is spiritual. So now I'm going to tell you a good news. I said so many things. Now let me tell you something good, right? If whatever I've been saying was not so good, let me say something really good. So if you're struggling with your body weight, some physical symptoms, some emotional drama, imbalance, depression, all issues, congratulations. I say congratulations and I say well done. I think you are being called. You are being called by, if you believe in God or life, universe. It's a good thing. Some people live in all these dysfunctions without even knowing it. For you, you are aware. So being aware of our dysfunctions is a good thing. It's a divine calling. Fortunately, it happened to me as early as age 24, 25, 26, likewise. I'm really grateful that it happened to me as early as age 24. For some people, they become aware of that pain, but pain, which is a purpose, which is a divine calling, only in their deathbed. It's too late, because you don't have the physical capacity, mental capacity, all that to live your purpose thereafter. So if you are going through something, congratulations, mental, physical, emotional, congratulations. You must yourselves tell that same thing to yourself. It's your divine calling to find out something brand new about yourself. Find out something brand new about yourself. Okay? So with that, now let me quickly give some tips as to physical. Right, some diet. People have been asking me a few things, so maybe later on many other people are watching these videos. So for the benefit of them, let me tell you, if you are having a physical discomfort, extra weight, all that, there's a spiritual reason. The problem with spirit, right, is that we don't know how to decode what is spiritual, like decode, right? We got to sort of understand, okay, it is a spiritual reason, it's a divine calling, so how do I know? This is where you will go to a teacher, a master, a guru, a coach, yeah. Like in my case, I had to be my own coach. Of course, there were many other teachers who guided me, giving tips and tools and techniques, but it was myself, seated in front of the psychologist, where I was taken to a psychologist at that time. That was the moment of truth. I asked myself, if I'm going through this pain and suffering, how many women out there must be going through the same? Then I found the answer. Okay, you know the pain, meaning When you know the pain, you know it very well, you know the pain. Meaning, you are being called, you are being summoned to do something about it. That's how my life turned around completely. And from that day onwards, I was only dying. I was only dying. Yeah. And just November 2019, it was almost a full death, but I came back. And by that time, I had to die to a whole lot of stuff I believed about myself. So I know death is not fearful. Death is actually something happens here. It's just physical death happens suddenly. So people are afraid of the physical death, but they are mentally dying every day anyway. So those who are ready can embrace the death when it physically it's going to happen. You can surrender and fully embrace it. I earnestly actually request my followers and students and friends and associates, whoever, to daily basis reflect on death and to really, reflect in a way that it really prepares you to die any moment. Then you're going to be happy and healthy anyway. You're definitely going to really make yourself so happy and healthy, because if you don't prepare yourself, you even in the moment of death, the same old patterns will repeat. So, fine. For the people who want tick, few tips and techniques and tools and ideas to lose weight and to have a healthier body, my first suggestion: incorporate daily physical movement. It could be walking, jogging, running, exercising on a treadmill, yoga, dancing, Qigong, Tai Chi, anything. But this is it. This is the next piece of advice. If you have been a very active person, running, doing exercises, maybe you have gym membership, whatever it is. This is from my life experience. I have been thriving on this principle. That is, you got to change your exercise, mode of exercising, regime of exercising, pattern of exercising, I think at least every 6 months. I see very unhappy people sweating out in gyms. Some of them are in shape as they advertise. Right? You know what I mean? In shape as per advertisements. There are advertisements about men and women for different products, clothes, food, right? Protein drinks too, whatever. I mean, different advertisements. So, as per advertisements, there are people in shape. Yes, in certain gyms you find these people in shape, but most of the time in gyms you find people out of shape. So after 6 months you go to the same gym, look at these people, most of them are still the same. Most of them. Then that gym is not working out for them. There's something wrong with the gym equipment or the trainer or the method or the timing. Then, let's say the people in shape, like somehow just like I did many years ago, there are people who really work hard, they sacrifice a lot, somehow they get to a particular result by compensating through injury, but they don't give up, somehow they get to some shape, which we consider as the shape, okay? There's nothing like that, but the shape, because advertisements had made our minds to believe this is the ideal shape. Whereas there's nothing like that. However, we have those mental images, right? So now let's say after 6 months we go and see these people. Are they happy? My personal experience, because I've gone to some really known prestige gyms here in Colombo those days, and then once in a while, then I stopped it because I found the art of managing by my health and well-being, right? Also, I did not feel very happy in those places, right? I became very honest to myself, so I stopped going to places where I'm not going to be happy. I became very, very authentic, brutally honest, where I stopped. And it saved a lot of money and energy as well for me. So I visit these places once again. Do I see happy faces? Like at least climbing down, I remember when I walk up the stairs to the gym, I am happy. Coming down, I am happy anyway, right? But most of these people, on the way up, they are on the phone, they are very unhappy. On the way down, they are mostly on the phone, again they are very unhappy. During the workouts also, I hardly see they smile, except one or two guys, maybe just because they want to flirt, they might smile, right? But generally unhappy, so think about it. So I do, of course, personally change my exercise routine every month because my personality, that is a different discussion which I certainly will take up in this forum. Usually we discuss in the NLP for Life page because it's a psychology discussion, but maybe next week also I'm going to have a session in that I will touch on that dimension of some psychological explanation about personality types. So I know I am a person who I thrive or I prefer options. I don't like schedules, routines, rules given to me. I thrive breaking rules and not adhering to strict patterns. I am a personality who thrive on variety. Of course, there are people who are thriving on strict rules, patterns, timetables, etc. There are. I'm not denying that. Now, after experimenting with other people also, like I'm not just doing these things alone, I am helping other people also in my life, my close associates, inner circle members, right? So, all I know is that adding variety into your exercise routine makes your brain very healthy. Because you are learning something new. When you learn something new, means new dendrites are growing, meaning new energy, meaning new awareness about self and life. So please change your exercise routines regularly. Don't stick to a routine that is really unnatural. Whatever is unnatural is unhealthy. Whatever is forced logically, it's unnatural, and whatever is unnatural is unhealthy, just like food. Second thing, change your eating, like variety of foods you are eating continuously. Again, I thrive on that principle. I have been thriving and I have been guiding few other people to thrive on that principle. Why don't you try it? For a day, you have a variety of food. For a week, you have variety of food. Guess what? Totally out of curiosity, because the amount of food intake that I need now at present is really minimal. I think partly due to the energy work I do with Qigong as well. And also, of course, after diligently working on my system for 3 to 6 months, I have brought it into a new equilibrium that is also there. So it's very functional. This week, I'm not going to buy any food items. I'm not going to do any grocery shopping. I'm not going to buy any food items for the coming week. I know that sounds like extreme, but I want to experiment and find out what it means to live life like the old and golden era of our ancestors. like given day, you wake up in the morning, you don't have food on the table, right? When we were in the olden ages, right? Our ancestors, early ages, right? We had to find our food, like we had to go with our natural instinct and give ourselves the best available and the best choice of food, and we had to really work hard also for that. Now it's just a whole lot of food is stocked in the fridge, and we are mostly just comfort eating. So that's my routine anyway for the coming week. I'm not going to store any vegetables or fruits. I'm going to really see what it means to live life without stocking things up. Right? Of course I can walk and buy whatever I want close by. Right? I have some access to food, some amount of food available, of course, in the house. Some dry rations, I will use them. So this is part of my experiment. What I want you to take home with you is, please add variety for a day, variety of fruits, vegetables, and any other things that you are eating and drinking. And for a week, for a month, keep changing. Don't eat the same thing. Your body essentially gets saturated by eating the same thing. Recently, I was doing some research and reading some articles and finding out information about the gut health, etc. Something interesting. In one of the forums, one researcher, one scientist mentioned something very interesting. How people who are eating only healthy food, right? Let's say a lot of vegetables, greens, they are very healthy, they are clean eaters, how they get sick, right? How they keep on eating something healthy, and after a while the very healthy food that they are eating or drinking is making them feel sick because of the diversity in the gut microbiome. In your gut, in our gut, there are many bacteria, right? There are so many bacteria. So they are also living organisms. So when we are very diligent and religious and very strict about certain eating habits and not eating at least once a while some unhealthy food, what happens is your gut microbiome gets restricted. There's no diversity, and it's going to backfire. It's going to be unhealthy after a while. I know some of you already have that experience. I personally have that experience too. Especially during last 3 months, we did some experiment. We were in a program, and the very food that were healthy is really almost toxic now, right? So you have to continuously change the type of food you are eating, variety of food. That is one. Then importance of intermittent fasting. Now it's of course reconfirmed. Of course, almost in every religion, even in Buddhist practice, right? At least once a month, there is this ritual on Poya days specifically. We limit the food intake, and not to the extent where some religious groups where they go on fasting for a long period of time. But I think even in many religions, it is advocated, like Gong fasting, limiting the food intake. I've done my research, I've done my own practice in my life. So one thing I confirm is to limit your food processing, like eating, to 5 to 8 hours of a day. Indirectly, what we are saying is limiting the number of meals. Like you can actually reduce it to 2. What I do is basically I have a lunch from 11 to 12, and then dinner before 6 to 7, and then nothing till next noon. And this has been working out profoundly for us, of course. You also can, let's say you want a lot of energy for a day for the kind of work you are doing, you may have an early breakfast, but quite high in protein, not high in carbohydrates. If you are having an early breakfast like 8 to 9, go for a high protein meal. less in carbs or no carbs. Of course, I don't know how many of you can do that, or how many of you are willing to do that, but high carb, high protein based diet for morning, and then dinner in the evening, definitely before 7. I advocate having your dinner unless you are working on shift and etc., right, to have dinner before 7 p.m. where the sun goes down, where your biology also slowing down. So have a carbohydrate rich meal towards the evening, because you really need to unwind. You need not have major cognitive processes running where you can't fall asleep. You're supposed to have some carbohydrate rich food for dinner. That's the basic principle. Unless you are in a special weight loss regime and on a healing, like physically going through a particular healing where you have to restrict carbohydrates, still I think there are many healthy carbs that you can take, like from food like carrots and like root vegetables, pumpkin and squashes and things like that. Even lentils, I think anyone can eat. It's permissible, right? So what else we do of course 24-hour fast every week. I'm not advocating everyone to do that, not necessarily, until you come to a certain rhythm naturally built. Don't force 24-hour fasting or 72-hour fasting, but you can every, let's say, 6 months do a 72-hour fasting, or once a month 1 day fasting, 24-hour water fasting, meaning only water, right? What is the principle behind it? What the scientists have now found out is that basically you need to give a break. I don't think you need any scientific explanation for that, right? If you keep processing something in a machine for a long period of time, it's going to get dysfunctional after a period of time. So it's healthy that you limit the functioning of your important organs in the body. You limit the functions to a certain number of hours, give it a rest, then they can perform optimally, continuously. All right? Continuously in a sustainable manner. So last week, of course, I said the importance of restricting sugar and processed food. I'm also not an advocate for milk and dairy. Of course, a recent program that I've signed up and I was very committed to do, plus through my own life experience, I've realized dairy is really not a human food. This is my understanding. You may oppose it, it's okay, you may experiment with it. Anything to do with dairy, like I think when we were babies, we had our mother's milk, and I think it's good enough for us. We don't need necessarily to have milk from other animals. I really don't think it's a business, just like many other food, of course, in the industry. Dairy, personally, I like zero. I don't prefer taking. And sugar, zero. No sugar, but of course indirect sugar always coming from fruits and vegetables, right? And minimize the processed food, eat a lot of whole foods. This is what I wanted to suggest to you, right? Now specifically, let me also introduce to you one more important concept, specifically for those of you who are wanting to lose weight, right? There is a new idea that I learned recently called carb confusion. I don't know. I really don't know the depth of it, but I experimented with it because apparently I have been doing it when I was losing weight before. Without knowing it, I have been doing it. So this is similar to, it's not similar to a keto diet, but what essentially is, it's closer to a keto diet where you are restricting carb intake and increasing the protein and fat intake. But what this principle suggests is that you can divide a week, right, where you are, let's say you are exercising, but this is also specifically for those who are having high physical activity, exercise regimes or very heavy physical activities, right, which requires a lot of energy. So if you are someone like that, to increase the carb intake for 2 to 3 days, you increase the carbs that you consume on those days. You eat enough carbs, even non-foods, so to say, like processed foods like say pizza, bread, pasta, whatever you fancy. Really, I mean, whatever you fancy, things you really like and crave, you eat for 2 to 3 days. You comfortably eat, but make sure you are highly active those days. And then let's say you are slowing down, like you are not doing heavy physical activities, you are slowing down, you have a more introspective, like a brain work to do, right? Seated in one place and doing some mental work. What you do is you are slowly reducing over the 3 days. Of course, you have to eat whatever you like, and you are slowly reducing the intake of carbs, slowly reducing, and then completely stop. What I do is that 3 days, no carbs at all. It's only healthy proteins and fats, healthy fats, like say olive oil, healthy proteins for a vegetarian, like I'm mostly vegetarian, I'm mostly these days specifically. So tofu, lentils, sprouted lentils, and then bean curd, right? Mushrooms, tempeh, things like that. But and eggs, those who consume eggs, they can have it, and those meat eaters can have it. So you go for a high protein and high fat diet for 2 to 3 days. During those 3 days, your body is going to this thing called ketosis. You might have heard about that word. Even if you have not heard about it, it's okay. Essentially what it means is you are turning the switch of burning sugar mode to fat burning mode. Your body starts burning fat to get energy when you are in ketosis. When you reduce carbs and increase protein and fat. When you are when you're eating a lot of carbs, you are burning sugar or carbohydrates. You are using sugar or carbohydrates to get energy to your body, which is a different way of operating in life. This is one different way of operating life. When you experiment this very well, you will see the cognitive functions, like your ability to focus and do a lot of mental work, sharpens when you are in ketosis. But it generally reduces when you eat too much of carbs. However, you can relax and do a lot of exercises as well. So that's it. And for me, 3 days, and then of course a 24-hour fast generally for a week. That's my way of living life, right? And drink whole lot of water. When I say whole lot of water, 2 to 3 liters of water, recommended, highly recommended, absolutely needed. You cannot function without proper intake of water. And a lot of intentional deep breathing. If you're exercising, you're bound to do deep breathing. One way, when you are burning fat, burning energy, right, it is released as carbon dioxide. So actually most of the energy that we consider as our energy is burnt in this breathing process. People are not aware, but people hold on to their breath, people hold on to mental issues, people hold on to those mental issues in their body as tightness, aches, pains, all that stuff, and the weight. They're not letting go, right? So you got to let go. How you, even in naturally in our breathing, you intake and you exhale. So deep breathing, it's a must. And morning and evening sunbathing, I have been advocating this in the recent past. Even in a moment, I have to go to my balcony and do my evening ritual because there's sun, a lot of bright sun today. Yes, these are the important tips that I wanted to share. I highlight the importance of taking omega-3 as a supplement. Children, adults, right? Because there are enough of research that supports omega-3 has the important substances that is really needed for a healthy gut. So the most recent studies on health and vitality suggest a healthy gut is healthy brain. Your brain is essentially in your gut, like kind of thing. like your gut health is reflected on your brain health, mental health. So now we can understand, right? We have a lot of mental issues in the world. In all countries, there are a lot of issues. Some are known, some are not known. People are not aware. Some countries, they are very well aware. Seems like it goes to diet, means what we put into our stomach. So healthy gut seems to be a healthy mind. Okay. So if you have any specific questions, please feel free to ask me. I'll be happy to address them in the next session. Until we meet again, I send you lots of love, good energy and blessings. Stay happy, healthy and blessed. JayaShri.